It's weird he's not here.
Here he
Oh,
is.
here comes some, he's running too. I saw him, he's moving fast.
He's moving fast.
Yeah, he is.
Hey, Bob. So we're live right now, actually.
Oh,
Guess we'll call the meeting to order. Do the Pledge of Allegiance. Bob's still up.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, we got a public hearing.
we do.
For Bullwinkles. Somebody like to make a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Hearing none, all those in favor? All right. Any public comments? I don't see anybody. Chief, do you have any comments?
No comments.
Okay. Anybody on the board have any comments?
Nope, I don't think they've had any problems that I'm aware of.
Do you want to go to the?
Chief would be aware of it
section about
if there were,
select board
right?
comments after, or did you want to,
What's that?
did you want to go to select board comments, or?
No, it's in the public hearing.
Sorry.
Yep. So we get public comments. Does anybody on the board have any comments about this hearing? Somebody want to make a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All right, does somebody want to make a motion to act on the liquor license for Bullwinkle's Family Steakhouse?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Move along to the presentations by our illustrious chief and his police department.
Well, it's going to be pretty boring. We're nothing really exciting happening. We're all just kind of trying to survive like everybody else. Budgets are right on par, not over, not under, just right there. The one good news I have is we hired Aaron Beck as a reserve this last month.
Who?
And Aaron Beck, he worked years for Lincoln County and then down in Booth Bay Harbor. And he recently went to work for his dad, but he wants to work part-time somewhere, and he chose us. And it's good because he brings a lot of experience and certifications that we get pretty much at no cost because he's just working as a reserve. So it's going to be really good. I'm excited about that. The only thing I'm really probably a little bit worried about on our budget is going to be the vehicle maintenance line. I just want to give you a heads up, we're all right now, but we're finding that a couple of the vehicles are giving us some issues, and so later on in the year we might be a little over on the vehicle budget line, but right now we're okay. But I can see bad things happening with especially with the Charger. It's just not. It's giving us some issues. And then I'm going to try to buy some body cameras with the Campbell Trust money. It's quite a big purchase. We didn't have luck with them in the past, but this other company promises me that they're much better, and it's quite a chunk of change, but we have enough in the Campbell Trust money, and so that's what I was going to kind of try to use that for. Because due to the times, we really need to have those again, just to cover us if somebody makes a complaint. We'll have it. That's all I really got. Any questions?
How many miles a year do you put on an average patrol vehicle?
So this year's been a little different, only because of the COVID stuff, but I would say 25 to 30.
Okay, that's not out of line, really. Doesn't seem to me all the...
But they say with police cruisers, times that by 3, and that's about the wear and tear on them.
Oh.
Seriously, they're in and out all the time for tires, brakes, oil change. I mean, you name it. They get used hard.
And how many vehicles do you have?
We have 5. We have one admin vehicle that the sergeant and I share, which doesn't get used as hard. So we usually get, a few extra years out of those ones.
And those are used 24/7?
Yep. All the vehicles use 24/7. So the SRO car only gets used back and forth to the school, but that's always the oldest car in the fleet. So that one's usually pretty used up by the time it
Okay.
gets to the SRO.
Thank you.
So John, what would you say was your biggest challenge during policing during COVID?
Morale, keeping morale up. And that's always a challenge, but I think we forget that we're people too, and we have families at home. We have to figure out childcare. We have to deal with, family members who are sick. So, we have to come to work and put on a tough persona, but really we got issues going on at home too. So keeping morale high was the toughest thing to do, and it still is tough.
And did you find that any of your calls changed? Like more towards
Yeah.
more mental health issues or?
A lot of mental health issues, and the hospitals are full. And so when we bring them there, they're like, we can't take them. Like, okay, what do we do with them? Yeah, and so that's always, but that's been tough for a few years. But especially now where some people are hurting and can't really get them help.
I was kind of waiting just because I knew John was coming up, but we've had now 2 instances where we've had families that have needed food, at least 2 instances. I'm sure there's more, but 2 that have been brought specifically to my attention where we had 2 officers out of their own pocket take food to individuals after, the town office was closed. Numerous times during when the food bank was here, they took, and most recently the chief himself was on a call and actually took food to people. So we're doing more than just policing.
What are our most common types of calls?
So I would say that the biggest number we have is probably theft numbers. However, seriousness-wise, it's domestic violence.
Okay. And what do you spend, let's say, most of your time? What type of calls take up a lot of your time?
Thefts usually involve quite a bit of time only because it's the investigation that goes into it. It's not just the initial call you're working on, but recently a lot of stuff that's been taking up our time is harassments, Facebook harassments, and
Wow.
it's unbelievable.
Wow.
People think that going on Facebook and harassing somebody else is okay, and then we have to deal with it. That takes up a lot of our time. We get a lot of those calls.
Huh, that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that. I know. I asked because somebody asked me. They asked me, what do you guys spend all your time on? I wasn't sure. But I thought domestic violence was right up there.
Probably seen a spike in that with everybody stuck home.
It's been a little bit better as of late, kids going back to school and people going back to work, but at the beginning, it was pretty bad.
Bob?
I want to talk a little bit about the county and their sheriff's department. As a little bit of background, the proposed 2021 county budget is $11.1 million. The proposed budget for the sheriff's side of that, and that excludes the jail and it excludes transport, is $3.3 million. That's about 30% of the county budget goes just to the sheriff's department. Lincoln County's 19 towns, on average, pay $180,000 of that $3.3 million budget. But if you look at the valuations, Waldeboro's share is actually more than that. It's more like $215,000. So I guess the question I have is, what are we getting for that money that we pay specifically as our portion of that sheriff's department? I've been told that they patrol here, and I don't know whether they contact you when they do that, or if they do that, or you've seen any evidence of that. I do understand that we have access to their detective services and that they help us there. But I mean, $215,000 a year is a lot of money for this town to be contributing to the county policing effort. And I'm just wondering whether we're getting any of that back in kind.
Kind of put me in a rough spot here, but
No, and if you want to pass on it, go ahead, John.
It's. I would say that the service we utilize the most with the county is the detectives. I don't know what their saying they're doing for patrol hours here, but we're a 24-hour town. I would say we handle most of the patrol here. I very rarely see them here unless they're passing through.
Do they ever contact you and say, hey, you know, we want to coordinate with you, we're gonna do some patrols in your town?
Unless they've got special details that they're working here, no.
Bob, does that include the dispatch in that number, or is that?
No. That is not, that is just the sheriff's department. It doesn't include the communications, it doesn't include the courts, it doesn't include the jail, it doesn't include jail transport. That's just his department.
And you know, if we've got only one guy on and we ask for backup, they will back us up. And I'm sure that's some of the patrol that they're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. That was a surprising number. Thank you.
Anybody else got anything for John? Let's see, you're free to go.
All right.
Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Oh, let's see. Citizens' comments. We had the Historical Society supposed to be here, and she vacated the premises.
She did.
So, guess we'll see if Max has any citizens' comments on the,
And Ben
nothing?
Vale.
Oh,
So what, I
We
saw
have
Jean,
Mr. Vale in the room. You have any comments at this time?
I wish I remembered to come to select board meetings more.
thank you for coming. What was that about Jean? I saw her here.
She had a presentation to make to somebody, but they're not here.
Oh, got it, gotcha, okay, that's what I didn't hear. Thank you.
Okay. Select board comments. Bob?
I guess I start, huh?
You
Okay,
start
'cause I'm
tonight.
at this end. I did go to the garden dedication at the Historical Society on Sunday. The garden is dedicated to Richard Wallace and Carol Blodgett. It was a very nice occasion. And it's gonna be a nice garden. Of course, they're just planting things now, so it hasn't taken shape yet, or taken effect yet, but it has taken shape. And it's really nicely done. And Katie Winchenbach was particularly recognized for all the work that she did with that, along with the volunteers who helped out to make it a special place for people to go to. I did get a note, an email from one of our citizens who was asking about the community center and the medical arts facility. Those are questions on the ballot, non-binding questions. And the Sylvania task force issue of the property over at Sylvania. And I'm wondering, he was just asking where the information was. And I'm wondering whether there's a way, I mean, I'm imagining a lot of people have already voted. But if there's a way of putting something more on the website about these issues to,
I can do whatever you would like me to do.
okay,
I mean, we've had repeated meetings over this, so.
we have,
You know, and if people had watched the meetings, then they would understand.
Yep.
I thought the minutes, the questions were pretty clear, but like I said, I've been well
I think what
informed on
they're,
them.
well, and I think part of, and what, some of the feedback I've gotten is an environmental covenant, which is kind of what we had talked about. And so I made sure that is on the website. Maybe I need to, maybe I need to put some more of that. Because I think you have to be careful too, that we're not really supposed to be telling people how to vote.
exactly.
And that's,
Part of the problem.
That's part of the problem. So, I mean, we can direct them to where it is. I will make it a point to work on that tonight,
Okay,
to try to figure out how to better, I mean, because I put that information up there. It's just, you know, and it's under select board, so I will try to figure out a better way to maybe communicate that, but that's very hard. I got a lot of feedback about the questions needed to be explained, similar to what we've done with adding the number of employees, and I said we can't, there is some onus on the voter to have to do some research. I know that people are unhappy with the recreation, some of people, with the community center, with the prices. I was heartened when the architect called me today that we're having a look at this building and told us that our numbers were spot on. So I was really, really happy about that. But again, that 6 million, and what I did try to explain was the 6 million gets what the Recreation Committee recommended.
Right.
That's what it gets, and then down from there. And what I've tried to explain when people call is, we've got this wonderful opportunity where we have all of these people gathered together to vote and have a good turnout with some good input. And I think I tried to explain it as sometimes people want, no matter whether it's towns or people, and sometimes you have to cut your, not your pattern to your cloth, but your cloth to your pattern. And I think giving people the choices, well, I want to know what each thing, what would 4 million get me? What would 2 million get me? Well, those are things that we have to figure out. And also, what they didn't understand is that we didn't have an architect do conceptual drawings or anything like that because we didn't want to spend money, because the vote could be, we don't want a community center.
Right.
I mean, that could be the vote. So you don't want to spend money on something that the people don't want. So I took very seriously, and I tried to explain our position as the select board and the town manager, that these are non-binding questions. We're asking them because we value your input. And most times we don't get these golden opportunities. But I will try. I know I put the environmental covenant up there, and I also put the report from the Sylvania Task Force up there.
Right.
I will try to figure out how to do it in a way that does not influence voting.
It's tough.
It is tough. It's a tough.
I mean, we give, what's boggled me is everyone wants more information. When we give them more information, they still don't understand it. And, you know, without, like Julie says, enhancing them one way or another on their vote.
And it's interesting just because we see it on a daily basis. You know, we post signs about 2 people in the lobby at a time, and yet nobody reads the signs on the doors. I can tell you now, having been here for 2 Fridays, but we are not open. No one read the back of the tax bill. Because the people that are coming in are not coming in because they realize, oh, I can get my absentee ballot or register to vote on a Friday because it's special that they're open. Everybody just assumes we're open. And then I say, well, we can't do that. Well, why can't you? Well, because of the budget cuts. Did you read the back? Oh, I saw that, but I didn't read it. And so when Katie, I wish she was here, says to me, how do we reach people? We have a new website. We have an electronic sign. We're on Facebook. And we actually wrote a letter to every taxpayer in town. And still, I get kind of like the same thing. So it's I think what we just have to do is just keep doing what we can and try to reach as many people.
Yeah, I do still get questions on 80 Gray, and I've been, well, one person asked for the addresses of the people on the subcommittee.
I saw that.
And so I just said, well, I'm
Well,
not going to give them to you, but you can they'll contact you if they're willing to talk to you.
For me, what should happen in that circumstance is that should go through myself or Max, and
that's what I suggested.
And we can then, because we've never made it a practice, and I look back, we've never provided that type of information to citizens. We've always just been the receptacle, and then we just, give it out to everybody. But some people might not feel comfortable with that sit on committees.
Yep.
But rest assured, we get it to them, and that's how I answered a couple of people. I will tell you this, I did get a phone call today. Apparently people thought 80 Gray was going to be discussed tonight, or it was on the agenda. I was never told to put anything on the agenda, which is what I referred to the residents that contacted me. They have requested, though, time at the next meeting to be on the agenda because they have very strong opinions.
Isn't Volunteers of America gonna do another presentation, Max, like the one they did a couple of weeks ago?
Right, if we can get a press release into this week's paper, we'll try and do one next week. If
Yep.
not, we'll try and schedule it for 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
Well, why not, we could also make that the next meeting here during a select board meeting, if that,
Well,
I mean,
like,
of course you can.
Of course I can. That is something that I spoke with Brian Seitz about. It's just a matter of deciding what time we want this to be done. Next week, we have a 80 Gray subcommittee meeting, and I don't think there's too many topics on the agenda, so we could just move that to 5 p.m. and then that'd be all set. We can also move it to 2 weeks from now, and it'd be the 5 o'clock slot before you guys meet for your select board meeting, so either one's fine. Again, I just need to see if Alex, who is possibly watching tonight, if he's fine if we can somehow get a press release into this week's paper. Because that's what's really gonna matter, I'd say.
I got one email that asked why it isn't on the agenda.
Well, if nobody contacts the town office or anybody on here and asks to have it
Well, and
on there,
that's,
then
therein lies the issue is, I don't know what I missed. I don't think I missed anything, because nobody contacted me and said, put this on the agenda, and I didn't get any. And honestly, when the first person contacted me today, their initial thing was, when's the next 80 Gray meeting? So then I told them the 20th, and they're like, no, it was supposed to be on the agenda for tonight. And I'm like, I do not, so I don't know where that got started, but
I don't remember
no one
that.
contacted myself or
No.
or Tanya. So, and if none of you know anything about it, then I feel better, because I'm like, nobody's.
And I'm pretty sure the paper this past week said that the meetings are on the first and third Tuesdays of the month.
Right,
Today is not the first or third Tuesday of the month. Or
right.
at least I hope so, or else I was supposed to be at the food bank.
And what I did say was, and I told them, even though it was late, I said, look, you are more than welcome to any select board meeting. We have a public portion. You are more than welcome to come. I said the select board loves to engage. And I did say that to gauge support for the project or not, or whichever way it goes, I said, I think the select board is totally open to everybody's thoughts on it, and they are more than welcome to come to any meeting. And you know, voice concerns or ask questions, whatever. But they did specifically ask for the next meeting. So that actually might be the best option. That way we don't have to worry about short notice.
And
Would be the 27th.
27.
will the Volunteers of America be here?
I definitely know, well, Brian definitely
Can make it. I don't know if Rich, who is the CEO of this chapter, if he's gonna make it to this meeting or not. But Brian definitely will.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't think that's a bad thing if they're here, because I think some things were taken out of context perhaps at the last meeting, and I've heard some things that just don't make any sense at all to me that I haven't heard before, so that would probably be a good thing to do. Again, it's just trying to get people to engage, and like I said, we love it when people come and engage, even if they may not always agree. It's a great thing. So
Thank you.
You all
Sorry
set,
it
Bob?
took so long.
No, you all set, Bob?
I'm done, yeah.
Okay. Colonel?
The only thing I have is Will Pratt needs to be added
yes,
to the new business.
Yep.
He would be 10.1.3.
I like that 10.1.3. We
To
can
follow.
put him with Leslie.
We can put him at one,
Oh, okay.
just
We'll move
comma and
Just
put it,
do a double
If
bubble there,
somebody
huh?
can.
yeah, well, yeah,
Okay,
sister, brother.
yeah. Okay. That's all I had. You know, as far as the 80 Gray, yeah, I've received messages on that also.
Yeah, just concerns and stuff like that, that's what I saw. I
Yeah.
mean, nothing to do with having it on the agenda here tonight.
No, they just wondered if it was on the agenda. Not that I know, so.
Isn't that strange? Oh, well, probably the same as Bob and Julie. I've had a number of people ask me about the ballot, and particularly the non-binding questions. I had one person come up to me and said, boy, you guys sure spend a lot of money. And I had to say it's more like a survey. We're trying to get the pulse of the community, since it's going to be a large percentage of the community. So it's just look at it, think about it. What do you think? And there were a number of those who really didn't quite understand what it was. But most of them agreed that it was a perfect time to, because we'd have so many people, and they appreciated the fact that the town was looking for the pulse, what the community thought, and that they were very appreciative of that.
Oh, I think people really are.
But yeah, that's what I got, a lot of that. I got my absentee ballot, but I didn't get my sticker, so when I come in, I'm gonna have to get a sticker. Did you run out?
We did, well, we've put out, you're kind of stealing my thunder, just over 1,400 absentee ballots. So
Wow.
some
Mine's
people
in my
did not get
car.
stickers because we were not anticipating that many right at first. We now have them, we got them yesterday,
All right.
so if you
I'll
did
bring
not get
mine
a
in,
sticker
yeah?
and you want a sticker, come in and get a sticker.
I want a sticker, yeah, that's big. Somebody put that on Facebook, and so the sticker, and got a lot of comments about having the sticker from an absentee ballot. And then the comment was something about, well, my town takes care of us. Yes, exactly.
Our
Yeah.
town is wonderful.
It is. And I think the same person who thought we were spending a lot of money just assumed we were gonna buy spend all those things. And mentioned about taxes and stuff, and I said, well, check your tax bill, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
It's such a hard thing to articulate in a ballot, that this is a non-binding, and we've said this over and over, this is why we did this. And I think what I found is once you explain it to them, is this isn't saying, but these are long-standing items. This isn't anything new. These were things that I inherited when I got here. We still had space issues. When I first got here, we had space issues, and A.D. Gray, Sylvania, all those things were in play. The community center was started 20 years ago, and Kyle Santhison came to me and said, what people are forgetting is that 20 years ago, it was a $4.2 million project.
Yeah.
20 years ago?
20 years ago,
Wow.
it was a $4.2 million project when they did the phases of the fields first and then the community center. So these are things that, and another comment was, well, why can't you use A.D. Gray as the community center? Again, the town's been through this, and we're not reinventing the wheel. The community center was actually, a conceptual design of it was done exactly where we are suggesting that it goes. So just so everybody's aware, all of those things have been before. It's nothing new that we're doing. We're just kind of trying to bring it across the goal line. And what people don't realize too is that in the past, these surveys, we're going to have obviously probably well over 3,000 hopefully responses. And that's, to me, an incredible survey in a way.
Better than 15%, which is what they got on that first
Right,
recommendation.
and that was good. Usually, the average, I think, is about 10.
Yeah.
10%, so
3,000
this is a great opportunity.
So I think that's a really good opportunity to see. And like I said, I love people reaching out and asking. And again, I try to be very factual and not lead and just say, here, you can go here and look at the environmental covenant. So it's been interesting for sure. But I'm just thrilled that we have so much participation.
You all set, Jen? I guess I'm all set. I don't have a whole lot, other than I won't be here the next meeting, so.
Jan, you will be here the next meeting, correct?
Okay, I will.
Chair?
Yeah.
Town managers report.
Town manager's report, we've put out over 1,400 absentee ballots, which takes up a lot. Everybody is loving the ballot box drop. That's been very successful. A lot of work has went into it. The staff has been incredible. I started registering vehicles, myself and Marcus. We took our class and we have been registering vehicles in the last 2 weeks since the last select board meeting. So that's been fun.
Should one make an appointment to do that now?
You no
Just
longer
walk
have to
in.
make appointments.
Just walk in.
And that's the other thing I want to address. We are walk-ins. People are upset. They're having to wait. We are only allowed to have, based on the layout of the foyer, 2 people in at a time. We can sneak maybe 3 if one's at the first window, but 2 people. Again, that's the requirement. We can't really do much about that. So we are asking for patience. Some people are unhappy. They may have to wait. It could be 2 or 3 people deep. And even if I'm at the counter with Rose, if I see more than one person, I'm normally going to the counter too, or Marcus is. But Marcus is tied up with walk-in absentee balloting, which we did not have during the primary because you couldn't do that during the primary. We are doing it now. So it's a little bit different. So there is a bit of a line. And I had to explain to some people who were very angry, you didn't like the appointments either. And now you don't want to wait when you can just walk in. And what I would urge people is Monday morning is not the time to come register your vehicle. So it seems that between 9 and 11, there's droves of people, and then the afternoon is pretty free. So if you could space it out, if you're driving by and you see too many cars and you can come back later, because there is an ebb and a flow. It was suggested that we have a waiting time. We just don't have time to figure out what the waiting time is and keep posting that on social media or the website so that people will know. That's not something that we can do. We did install a mirror today to see how far backed up we are. And so we moved the mirror from Tanya's area out to the hallway. So when we see people out there, Marcus can say, hey, somebody ran out. I ran out today a couple of times. So essentially we're running curbside inside too, to try to help. But that's where we're at. So I did find out too, I had my every meeting call with Steve from the school, Steve Nolan. They did get word that their funding for this year is intact. Again, that's what they're being told. Their funding for next year is not. So beginning July 1st of next year. Next week, we're going to send out, let's get ready for our budget. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's going to be hard this year for the department heads to figure out what they're going to be doing, knowing that obviously we don't know what the future holds. So the department heads will typically, the guidance I'd like to give them is ask for what you need, but know that you probably will be forced at some point to cut that back a little bit. I think the budget committee and the select board will have a difficult time come January, February, and I know we like to have it done by then. The wisdom says at this point, I don't know what kind of projections they'll have done by January. Legislature will just be back into session, hopefully. So we might be looking at not getting our budget done maybe until, I'm going to say April. And I know that's not something you want to hear, but because of the uncertainty, that might be where we're at. But I still would like to start that process with the department heads and get it out there. And my only other comment is, I hope you all got it. Norma, who's been in several times about Kastner Road, that was cleaned up, and she wanted me to, and I know I did this in an email, but to express publicly her thanks to the select board for all of your understanding and assistance.
Cool. Consent calendar.
Does somebody want to make a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I did have a public comment.
Okay.
Ruben Marr, personal opinion, I understand people have fiscal concerns. I hope people recognize that it takes money to maintain things. We can either do things cheaply a bunch of times or spend more to do things the right way fewer times. I prefer to pay for a quality item or solution less often.
Cool.
I don't have Max here to read the comments, so I have to remember. Max had to go.
Good eye, good eye.
Good eye.
consent calendar. Somebody would like to make a motion to approve it?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Can I ask a question on this one,
Any
Anthony?
discussion? Yep.
One of the items is correspondence, the state valuation. I don't think, all we're doing is recognizing the correspondence. We're not necessarily agreeing with the
Accepting it.
valuation.
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to
You're just
clarify.
acknowledging.
Yep, okay,
So we all set?
thank
Bob?
you.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? On to new business. Set date for the public hearing on general assistance ordinance.
No, you forgot the appointments.
Do you have the old copy?
I get the old copy.
Sorry. There you go.
Okay, all right. All right, 10.11. Conservation Committee appointments. Leslie, how do you spell that? Lorenzen and Will Pratt. And do you want to do them separately, or do you want to do them as a whole? We got the planning board for Jeffrey Erskine. Do you want to do them as a whole?
I can't remember how we normally do it.
I think we do them separately.
Okay,
But that's,
okay.
I mean, that's the way we do
Like
it.
separate committees.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Somebody want to make a motion to nominate Leslie and Will to the Conservation Committee?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none? All those in favor?
Sorry, you interviewed them, didn't you?
Yes,
Yeah, and that,
they were, yes, excellent,
yeah.
excellent. Will, we already know.
I understand that Leslie and Will are siblings.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
And what a super bright, articulate young woman she is.
Very passionate.
Very. Everything you would want on a conservation committee.
sorry.
All those in favor? Yep. And for the planning board, Jeffrey Erskine. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I move that we accept Jeffrey Erskine.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none? All those in favor?
It's a nice young man.
Yeah, he's
Married.
very,
Yeah, local. Yeah.
Now I'm back on the same page as you are.
Okay.
I just picked this up today, so how come I didn't get to?
Because Tanya we got a late minute addition that we forgot.
Okay.
Apparently.
All right, we'll set the date for the public hearing on general assistance ordinance.
Do you want to do that at the next meeting, or would you like to do that at the first meeting in November? Because I imagine that the AD Gray meeting is going to take a long time, so we'll do that at the first meeting in November.
Everyone all set
would
with
like a
that?
motion, Evan?
I don't think we really need.
We don't need a
on
motion,
that.
I can
Okay.
just,
We'll just as consensus.
and
yeah.
we'll take care of the publication and everything.
And confirming the chairman of the planning board, also member of the EDC.
Is this like Scott?
Is Scott,
What is,
It's Scott. So at some point along the lines, and we're going to have to go back, I think just what the Conservation Commission just gave us their bylaws, we might want to do that with the EDC. Apparently when the EDC was set up, I don't know that there were ever official appointments, and we tried to make it so that there are. But Scott is a member, well, I shouldn't say Scott, the chairman of the planning board is a member of the EDC. So we just need you guys to make a motion to put that into some type of, to give it some weight, that is one of the members of the Economic Development Committee. And also, we may want to consider also the chair of the CTC.
Yeah, they both participate.
Because
in
they
those
both
meetings.
participate in these meetings, and that's all tied together for economic development.
okay, so you're saying that whoever the chairman happens to be is also
Right, I would
on,
say
and
that we
whoever-
would
Okay, so
like to
that's-
see
I see
the
what you're saying.
chairman, the chairperson
Mhm.
of the Communications and Technology Committee and the Planning
well
Board
as,
would be members of the EDC.
Okay, got
Maybe
it.
we should just make it also the Shellfish Committee as the number one
That would be really cool.
industry. You know what I'm
No,
thinking about
it
it.
makes
If you're
total
going to
sense.
do this, why
Yeah.
don't you do the chairman of the CTC, the planning board, the Shellfish Committee.
Those three. And all we have to do is amend the policy on committees
Correct.
To state that,
State
they,
that.
yeah, they are, yeah.
Ruben says he is up for whatever.
Is somebody who would like to make a motion to that?
I would move that we amend the policy on committees to include on the Economic Development Committee, the chairman of the CTC, the chairman of the Shellfish Committee, and the chairman of the Planning Board, or their duly appointed
Representative.
representatives.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any more discussion on this?
Sounds good.
Hear none? All those in favor? Conservation Commission bylaws. I'm sure Bob's read through this thoroughly.
I've
I'm sure-
actually had some suggestions to make and a question to ask. Sorry.
Surprise.
And I was waiting for Jan's punctuation.
I'm not sure where this came from. Is it some kind of state document that we sort of,
It was presented to us from the commission.
oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
That is, it is directly from them, and I do not know, I wish Max was here, he could tell me. I don't know how long they've worked on it, or
So-
what they've had in the past.
Well, I don't think they need a treasurer. That's one of the positions on the committee that they elect among themselves. They elect a president, a vice president, or chairman, vice chair, a secretary, and a treasurer. And I don't know that we've ever had a treasurer on any of our committees.
I don't think they have, but I do think
They
that
use money.
they want to have somebody keeping track of what they're using and consult with
Doesn't the town do
one
that now?
person coming. Well, part of the issue is when they do utilize funds, the little funds that they have, some of it is contingent on public works budgeting and a portion of other funding. So I think they'd like to have some control over where that gets directed in conjunction with John. So I think maybe a liaison might be better than a treasurer, because they're not really controlling the money, but they want to keep track. They want to have a way.
They won't have a bank account.
They're not going to, they don't have a separate bank account,
Yeah.
but I think they need to have, maybe a different title for treasurer would be in order.
Yeah, they get funds, and
Mm-hmm.
and I know Karen is very particular about
Right, but.
keeping track of funds.
Right, but then there's
Yeah.
also funds that somehow John's in charge of, that sometimes that doesn't always trickle down.
Yeah, they used to get blueberry money.
Right,
That was part of their income, or, so they made the signs for the different areas were
so
from that.
I think we'll have to come up with a different name for the treasurer.
And what else, Bob?
They use the word committees. They can appoint committees. They can appoint a planning committee and various other ones. And I don't want to confuse their committees with our other committees in town. Is it more appropriate to refer to those as subcommittees of the commission?
Okay. So you want to
That
add
sounds
sub?
fair.
They
That
just
sounds fair.
do a word search and substitute the word subcommittee for committee. That's all I have.
Colonel, anything?
No.
Jan,
Nope.
punctuation?
Nope, nope, nope. I've given up, punctuation.
You sure?
Well, I secretly
Oh.
punctuate and do other things like that. Can't help it.
Yes. With those changes, we'll send it back to them to have them look it over with the small changes.
It's good to have this, though. I mean, it's good to have this
Yep.
with, this would be good to, and I'm sure that the new people, I think they'll give the new people, but it's good that they have this stuff. Yeah.
Okay. We'll send it back to them so they know what we're thinking
Okay.
before we vote on it. Discuss tasking EDC for taking inventory of the town-owned property to determine optional use of them and whether or not to sell them. Do we really need a motion to do that? Do you think we should?
I think we should,
Okay.
just because that was something we were going to do, and I
Yeah.
think the EDC is,
Better.
Looking for guidance.
they're looking for guidance on
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Would somebody like to make a motion on that?
I'd move that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Now, the only thing I think of is all they're doing is just looking at what we have for property and whether it's utilized, be able to be utilized or not.
Yep.
Correct? Okay. And that's their scope of looking at it.
Yep.
And again, strictly recommendations to the
Right,
select
not-
board.
yeah.
They have no,
Cool. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Old business.
Friendship Street school lease, I got it done and sent to Claire. And I'm just waiting for her to get back to me. So Alex is gonna probably call her tomorrow. This time she definitely has it in her hands. I had sent it to her originally when we had our email issue, so that's when I was like, so we've just been hitting it back and forth. And basically what we've done is, based on my research, back when it was originally done, they were going to utilize that third story. Well, without, again, that goes into the fire escape and thing and going through the history. So we've realigned, they still want to pay us rent. At first, they weren't going to. If you recall back, they were going to take over certain things. We've already locked in the fuel oil pricing that we can get better. Also the electrical, things like that. So we're going to keep some of that. So it comes out to about 15,000, right around there, will be the rent. And that would cover our expenses that we pay, but we can't, they're taking now the cutting of the grass, and they have made signs that post that during school hours, I also put this specifically in the lease, that during school hours, there can't be public use of the playground. Just because you don't know, they're out there cleaning it, and then somebody comes and uses it, so that's where we're at with that. So I should have a comment by next time. That was totally my issue.
So does that go on next,
Yeah.
the next week's?
Okay, so that's one thing for the next.
That's an
agenda.
item for the next, and the 80 gray discussion.
Yep. Does anybody else get anything for the next meeting?
I think we're going to pretty much spend quite a bit of time on the 80 gray discussion.
Okay.
And the only other issue I wanted to bring up tonight is we are utilizing more poll workers, ballot clerks. The suggestion has been that we go, typically people were taking the 6 hour, like a 6-hour shift. We're going to try to break that up now and do probably 4 hours instead of 6. So we'll have 3 different shifts instead of 2 different shifts. It's just that with the masks and everything, it got a little bit tiring. We will have several that are all day just for continuity. Also, we've had a lot of requests for poll watchers. The guidance from the Secretary of State's office is 1 Republican, 1 Democrat, 1 independent. Now, they can switch out as much as they want, but those poll watchers come from the party. So just if you're an independent, you still have to let us know. We're not going to have 2 or 3 independents sitting there. So it's 1 of each. But if you are a Republican or a Democrat, you have to go through your party chair. That's who's coordinating that. Also, that stands too for when we're doing early absentee counting starting on Friday, depending, of course, how far we get. That may happen on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We put in for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Again, that depends how many we get back. We're already up to 480 have been returned out of that 1,300. So I know at least we'll be counting 480 ballots. Now, whether that takes us all day Saturday, all day Friday into Saturday, that's another story. Also, the day before the election, based on how many ballots have been returned and how many have been taken out, we'll make a decision probably that morning whether we're going to set up strictly in the ambulance bay or we're going to use the fire bay also, not just to pass through to exit the building, but if we are expecting an overflow of people, we may have to open up the fire bay too, and we'll determine that. We are going to allow people to come in the front doors because of weather and coldness. They're going to have to socially distance as they come in. We will be closing the window that day and rerouting people for other town business around to the side door, because we can't have people standing at the counters and then people behind them. So we're going to have to modify how we do things. A lot of people are used to, oh, I come, I vote, I pay my taxes, or I come, I vote, I register my car. Honestly, if you can register your car another day, that would be a good thing. Taxes are relatively simple. We can take them through the back room, but I'm just letting you know now that flow. I'll be sitting in the police vestibule handing out your clean pen. So, you know, there'll be a lot of moving parts on that day. And again, we've contracted with somebody to come in and clean in between voters, so that will still be done. And we've had a plethora of people volunteering, so that's good. So that's where we stand.
Are you going to be counting the local ballots too at the same time?
After the election.
That's after, okay.
For the local, the paper ballots that we're
Yes.
not running through the machines, their ballot clerks will be counting probably for the rest of that week. Your state ballot, you'll know that night, because that's all run through the machines. It'll print out. We'll know that night. That's not the issue. But we knew the local ballot we would have to hand count. So we will be utilizing the ballot clerks for that. And part of that, everybody's asking, well, not everybody, a couple of people have asked, well, why didn't you just use the machines for that? It wasn't only a money issue. It's depending on the turnout, if you recall, it just adds 2 more pieces of paper. And the presidential ballot, obviously, and the rest of the candidates, that ballot, we wanted to have both our machines. We only have 2 election machines. We wanted both of those machines taking those ballots and not getting backed up doing local question ballots. And you don't think it takes that much time, but let me tell you, when you're running those ballots through there, when we're doing absentee counting, and what people don't realize too is all those ballots that come in on election day or after we've started counting that Monday morning, all of those are then run on election day. So in between voters, the ballot clerks are still opening and running ballots. So you don't want to overwhelm those 2 machines. And my thought was, if I've only got 2 machines and one goes down, I want to have that other ballot. I don't want to have to keep one municipal machine and one state machine. So it wasn't just me being cheap. I had thought behind it.
But that's okay too.
Well, I'm not going to say I'm not. I'm not cheap. I'm thrifty.
Right.
Thrifty,
It's okay
that's
to
right.
save money.
I'm thrifty.
Anybody else got anything? I guess not. Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second,
Hearing none? No discussion? All those in favor? Leah?
you get the prize. Not even 7 o'clock.
Okay, hold on.
Somebody was talking so much this week. Sorry. No.
No,
Oh.
no, look, we're still, we're early.
Was you here for the